Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my November wrap-up, aka I'm going to be reviewing all of the books that I've read throughout the month. I swear I didn't feel like I had a good reading month, really, but I finished 9 books, which a little questionable. To be honest, it was a month of extreme, okay? I went through it. I was in a reading slump, but I also read my best book of the year, I think, and also My Cat Swallowed Ribbon. And just now, I just got my flu vaccine, and I feel like I got my ass. So yeah, quite the month, but let's go through the 9 books that I finished because review time. The first book I wanted to talk about is Lone Women by Victor Laval, which I wanted to read more by him. I had read The Ballad of Black Tom years ago, like a short novella urban fantasy horror, and I've been wanting to try more by him. This is his most recent work, and I was really enjoying myself until the end of part 1, and then I completely lost interest. I will be very curious to hear your thoughts on this one, but you have this woman. It's kind of historical fiction horror because it's set in 1915. You follow a character. She has been traveling throughout the US, kind of hiding in small little towns while carrying this giant trunk that is really, really heavy, and things happen. And yeah, I was really enjoying it, and then almost didn't finish it. I had access to the audiobook, otherwise I don't think I would have finished it. So I'm going to give it a 3 stars. I'm a little sad about it, but I still want to read The Channeling by him and then The Changeling. And then if I don't like that, I'm going to give up, but I had high hopes. I know a lot of you mentioned that you actually did enjoy this one, so it might just be me. The next one, I don't know what I did with it, but I read First Frost, which is the follow-up to Garden Spells that I really enjoyed this year. This is like a cozy modern witches small town vibes. Listen right there. And it's like essentially Practical Magic 2.0. Loved book 1. And I was excited to read book 2, but I was prepared. I feel like the follow-up is never as good as the first book. I keep joking around that nothing can be like Shrek 2, but it's a little bit like that. I do have to say, first off, there's a lot of repeating of what happened in book 1. I don't know if there were like years in between the books and that's why the author feels forced to do that, but I've read both this year, so it felt very repetitive, and it's following up to book 1, and you're following the characters that were there and like the continuation of that I was really happy about. The characters, you get more attached to them. You still get the gossipy small town, the witches. I like the magic system because everyone that has magic has like very different magic, and it's very limited. Like you can't do everything you want. The only thing is that one of the storyline I did not care for it whatsoever. I still enjoyed it overall for what it was. I don't feel like it aged as well as book 1. I don't know how old it is, but yeah. I'm gonna give it, round it up to a 4-star. I still, you know, got the vibes that I wanted, but if you want to read the series, at least read book 1. I thought it was really great. So I read book 2. I don't know what I did with it, but I've read it. One that I regret. Oh my gosh, do I regret it. This is Days of the Morosi Bookshop. Hopefully it didn't autocorrect on my note apps. But this is a Japanese translation. I keep mentioning I'm not going to read another one because they translate so dryly in English. But I thought, oh, Bookshop, that sounds cool. You're following a character. She goes through a really bad breakup when she finds out that she's essentially the other woman. And she goes to grieve that in a different town, a small town, to work in the bookshop, used bookshop from her uncle. Which, like, yeah, that sounds right up my alley. Unfortunately, the main female character really annoyed me, and then I looked it up and it was a male author, which like I'm really sensing this recurring theme. In my defense, like the first heartbreak made sense. There's like a romance that happens, which like, dude, you're doing it to yourself again. But what really did it for me the last drop was that there's this scene, and it's not a spoiler. Nothing happens in the book. It's not a spoiler, but she spends time with her aunt. I don't even know if she's related to her. I don't think so. I think she's related to the uncle. Either way, they go on a trip together, and then the only moment that is like really heartfelt and like, you know, they will physically touch, they're Japanese, so it's not like a really physically affectionate population, and the one time they do that is when they're both naked in a bath. So yeah, that was definitely the last drop for me. No. Like, I wasn't enjoying myself to look past that, and I'm gonna give it 2-star. I'm offended, so not really, but yeah, I just don't do it to yourself. The audiobook was really short. I think it was like 5 or 6 hours, but like, it is so not worth it. Do not be fooled by this cover. I feel like this was giving me vibes. You know, I was like, oh, you know, finding yourself, small town, used bookshop. Yes, no. Just no. I did have Wayward, which actually reminds me I need to put on my schedule that I need to talk about all the books that I did not finish this year, because Do you want to see it? Because I haven't done it the last couple of years and I feel like I completely forgot to add that to my schedule. I don't even know where I'm going to put it, but I'll put a note. But yes, I DNF'd it pretty quickly, to be honest. Next, I did finish, unfortunately, the Golem and the Genie. I told you, it was a month of extreme. Unfortunately, I didn't care for this one. This was part of my read it or unhaul it. And this was exactly the kind of books that I want to pick up, that I've been wanting to pick up throughout that challenge. Books that have been on my shelf for years and that I thought I was going to give 5-star to, that I was really excited for. Unfortunately, this ended up being a little bit of a flop. And by a little bit, I mean quite a bit of a flop. This is like an adult fantasy-ish. I feel like it's more magical realism, really. And it's like a little bit historical fiction. It's set in the, is it 1800? Yeah, in 1899, set in New York, and you're following a golem, this woman who was created, and she awakens on a trip there, and she knows nothing about the world, and she essentially tries to figure out a way to live her life. And then you're also following a genie who wakes up from this lamp and again trying to figure out what's going on in this modern New York. And they cross paths and like things happen, but it's incredibly character driven. And at first I was all for it, but eventually it became so slow paced that I had to solely rely on the audiobook to finish it, and I just didn't care anymore. I also found the romance of the genie really problematic. Like, how old is that girl? Like 15 or something? And he's like a couple hundred years? Like he's 200 years old? I cannot do this anymore. Like, no. So yeah, I didn't find the ending satisfying, and the second book came out years later. I had picked this up because I thought this was a standalone, or it was meant to be, and I have 2-star. We're gonna leave it at that. I almost forgot to talk about the best book that I've read in the month. Oh my gosh, this is Blood Over Bright Haven. I got the ebook because it is self-published. I didn't know you could buy a physical copy. And as soon as I finished it, I looked at it and I realized, oh, it's an option, so I ordered it. You're going to see it in my next book haul, but this was so good. This was so good. This is an adult standalone fantasy. It's the same author that wrote The Sword of Kaijin, by the way, which I also really enjoyed. My only complaint about that book was the fact that it takes probably half the book to really feel emotionally invested. Like, I wasn't 100% sure how I felt about it until then. And this one, chapter one, you're into it, because that first chapter is set, is it 10 years prior? And you're following the remnant of this tribe, and they're trying to make a run for it across this frozen lake to feel safe behind the walls of this city. And you're just so invested in their survival. And then chapter 1 starts, and it's like, I believe it was 10 years in the future, or the now present, and you're following the story through the eyes of this woman. She's 27. She spent her whole life studying magic because she wants to become a high mage. Unfortunately, in this very patriarchal society, women are not allowed to really, like, they can learn magic to become teachers, but they can't actually do research, which is what she really wants to do. And once every 10 years, they graciously let one woman try to pass the test, and they've always failed, but she gets to try. She's the one that is chosen to attempt it, and you're following her. It does give like a little bit dark academia vibes because of that. Like, she's not studying, but she's doing research, and there's like some unlikely friendship. It does have really similar themes to Babel, but I want to mention that I feel like Babel, my personal complaint is that, one, I wasn't feeling very emotionally invested in the characters. This one, 100%, especially the side characters. Like, I really didn't care in those, but I really did in here. And it felt like the author grabbed you by the neck, shoved your face in a message, and just like rub your face in it. It lacked subtlety. And I feel like in this one, it's still very clear, but I feel like it was handled a lot better. We're gonna go with that. I don't love comparing books, but like, I feel like people will compare them, and I get it. But this one is just completely different. I was so invested in the story. I am so heartbroken. I actually want to reread this. I basically never read books, but this I will. This is such a good book. Easiest 5-star. I just adored it. And I'm shocked. I mean, it just came out this year, but I'm shocked that it's not on everyone's list. Like, you need to read this book. I will be harassing everyone to read this book. So I've been joking around that this is I Who Have Never Known Men 2.0. Like, I will make it my mission to make everyone read this. You will not regret it. If you have picked it up since I mentioned it, or just before, please let everyone know how good it is, because easiest 5-star. Best book for sure of the year. I mean, I haven't done specifically that video like I did last year, the giant tournament bracket on my wall in the living room. We're gonna do it again, but it's definitely gonna make it to the top. Next we have TheOne by John Marrs. This is the first book I've ever read by him. I had vlogged it, but it didn't make it because, listen, this month, so all over the place. I was so worried after freaking Charlie swallowed a ribbon. But yes, I read this one, and this was nothing like I expected. The first half, I was so confused because you guys told me that this was like a dystopian thriller, and this felt like a contemporary-ish romance. Like, what was that? But in a dystopian version of a world where someone creates or finds out this DNA thing that makes you able to find your person, like the one that is the right person. So obviously a lot of controversy when it happens because a lot of couples break up until you realize they're not the one for each other, and things happen and you're following, I think it's 6 characters going through it, finding their person. And when I first was reading it, I don't know if I have the clip still, but I say like, oh, it wouldn't be messed up if you're matched to a killer, and like there is one here. So like the author goes there, but the first half felt really wholesome, so I was really confused, and then things eventually pick up in the second half. I am a little bit on the fence though overall, because it was really nothing like I expected, but I've been finding it somewhat forgettable. Like I really had to like sit down and remember what this book was about. So I don't know. I think this is a 3.5 star. So I'm a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, I really like the premise. I'm confused with what the author decided to do with it, basically. But yeah, the first half definitely feels a lot more wholesome than I expected. And then like things really hit the fan. So yes, very readable though. I think that was definitely a good pro for me because I have been feeling the slump on and off with the 2 really bad books that I read this month. But yeah, this wasn't bad though. I did listen to the audiobook, The Jade Set of John Loon. This is the novella, the first novella, a prequel novella of the Greenbone Saga. This is a series that I finished this year. I read book 2 and 3, giant fantasy books that I, again, felt so emotionally invested. That series broke me, okay? It broke me. I adore it, but it broke me. And this is a 4-hour novella, and it felt nice to be back into the universe. And because it's set before, you get to see some of the characters that will be in that proper series. So I'm still feeling tender. I enjoyed it. It was nice. It was fun. It's probably like a 4-star because it's a novella. I feel like it's a bit short, but there's a second one that is also 4 hours that is on my waiting list at the library for the audiobook again. So I'm hoping to pick it up in December. That way I can be done with this series and then just be mad at the author properly. So yeah, that was a good one. Oh, I didn't say what it was about. The Jade Setter, basically you're following apprentice to a Jade Setter. And in that magical world, people that do have the magical world have to have jade to use their power. And the Jade Setter is just someone that puts it in like jewelry form or whatever they want to wear it, how they want to wear it. And they have things being stolen from the store. We're just going to say that. So it becomes, you know, rushing to figure out what happened, and it was good. I just posted a video where I reviewed all the nonfiction books that I've read this year and last year, I should say, because I read some in December last year. And the last one that I did finish this year was Who Cooked the Last Supper? The Women's History of the World. And I mentioned that I'm a little bit on the fence with this one because it was popular. I kept seeing it on social media, and I have a friend that really wanted to buddy read it, so we did. And I feel like some sections were really good. I put so many post-its, by the way. I feel like the topic really interests me. The first couple chapters feels a bit, for me, like she's making fun of like older anthropologists, which like, yeah, deserve it, but I feel like her stuff is not based on that much more solid research. With that said, I think it's really interesting to see how the rise or the fall of like the goddess, you know, fertility, giving birth, how like magical and like goddess like it was like to basically a bunch of patriarchal religion. And she goes through that, and again, that portion was really interesting, extremely depressing, do want to mention. But I'm a little on the fence in terms of like, was the author the right person to write that book? I know I have a few other books that you guys mentioned that I should try, like The Creation of Patriarchy, so I'm going to try to find other books on the topic, and I'll let you know which one is the best one that I've read once I've done that. But it wasn't bad, it's just that I'm a little on the fence, that's all I'm going to say, because I feel like it's such a heavy topic, and like obviously if you're going through the whole history in like 300 pages, there's only so much you can go through. But it wasn't bad. I'm probably giving it a 3 stars. 3 point something. And then the last book that I finish, audiobook I should say, is A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. So this is an adult, no, definitely not. Why? Although it felt more middle grade. Fantasy, stay alone. And okay, I think my main complaint is the fact that it's not really why, it's definitely middle grade. It reads really middle grade. The character is 14, you're told repetitively. And I think audiobook was the way to go. I don't think I would have finished it otherwise. It's definitely like an adventure. She's like discovering herself when there's someone that starts murdering people with magic in this town. People were already a little bit on the fence with Magica, the people that do have magic, but her magic seems so inoffensive because she's just a baker. She's great with bread. That's her thing. And she can like animate little gingerbread men. So like not really the murder type, but there's a body that is found in the bakery and she's being accused, and like things start that way. It becomes this big thing. But the book felt so long. At halfway point it feels like it's done, but then it starts all over again. And yeah, it wasn't bad. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I do feel like even though it's a murder mystery and everything, it felt kind of cozy because it's very YA, middle grade. I don't know, it gave somewhat cozy vibes to me, but yeah, it's just not really my thing. But I feel like the time of the year and the audiobook format made it okay. So yeah, it won't be on a list of best book that I've read, but if you have younger people in your life that, or if you really like middle grade, it wasn't a bad one, just not really my thing. In terms of physical book, I am so sad, okay? This one, I really wanted to be done with it for this video. It is our Patreon book club pick of the month of November. It's not often that I don't finish them on time, but so much has happened this month. And again, my ass got by the flu and booster vaccines. I had fever until this morning. So I'm feeling good now though. So I'm gonna finish tonight. This is the Jasmine Throne, but I have like 100 and something pages left and I'm really enjoying this one. So I'm gonna rave about it right now and we'll talk about it more in my wrap up in December because the ending might be really intense. This is the first book. I think it's a trilogy and book 2 is already out. It came out this year, I think. And I am glad because I am excited to continue. Like I haven't even finished it and I'm excited to continue. This felt so different from all the other fantasy books I've been reading. I like the magical system and the world building. It's a lot of political intrigue and like religious conflicts. You have these 2 nations, kingdoms, I guess. And one of them is under control of the other one. They've been at war. Was it 20 something years? Something like that. And they're basically dominating the people that used to have magic, but they've murdered a bunch of the people that did. And the dominating kingdom sends a princess to be in exile there for reason. And the main character is essentially her servant through circumstances, and things happen very slowly because it's very character driven, but I'm enjoying the slow burn because you get more and more of the backstory of the world. Again, the magic system is really, really interesting and it's looking like a slow burn romance, which seems to work much better for me in general, and it is a woman loving woman romance. So yes, so far I'm really, really enjoying it, like I said, and I'm curious to see how it's going to end, but I have a really good feeling. Like I can't see this being under 4 stars, so I think that's it. So it felt like a slow month, but 9 books is a lot. So I don't know why I feel like that. Probably because it was so divided. Some books were really, really good and some were just like painful to go through. Definitely do not recommend the Bookshop one. The Golem and the Genie is definitely going to be depending on your taste. I feel like if you're more someone that enjoys literary fiction or like historical fiction and you want to get into fantasy, that might be more your thing. But I just got really bored and offended. I don't know why I keep saying that word today, but I was offended by that romance. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, including my December TBR. It's the last month. I won't have time to read a ton because I will be posting a video every 2 days if everything goes well. But I am planning on doing one on Christmas Day, hopefully, where I talk about the cats, because I've been getting comments. People are divided if I talk too much or too little about them, and I get it. I've been really trying to balance things out, but for Christmas, I'm going to post a video all about them. So ask me in the comment section any questions you want to know about them, like which one has the softest fur, which one does not want to be held, and you will get clips, which one attacks my hand when I try to touch the belly, whatever you want to know. It's just going to be a cozy little video where I post clips of them essentially for the cat lovers. So that's it. I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye.